It is Thursday, October 26th, 2023. This is another playoff edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. That is my newly clean-shaven friend, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. Wow. For those of you that are audio only, race to your YouTube channel. My goodness, do you look different?
You know, I feel really different, and I showed this to Olivia, who's the only person I really care about what they think about my face, and she loved it. She said I looked young. She was like flirting with me all yesterday. So I agree with you. I look a little strange. I always look like my grandfather on my father's side. Whenever I shave, I know I look just like you, Alan, who R.I.P. my guy up there.
Oh.
So it's nice. Sometimes I do a double take in the mirror. I'm like, Grandpa? But here I am.
Well, have your kids ever seen you without it?
Yeah, I've gotten it close before. You know, maybe not down like this, but they've seen me. They say I look young.
Yeah, you
all
do.
That good stuff. But
okay, cool.
I'm doing it for a Halloween costume. It's gonna be back. The beard's gonna be back.
Yeah, it'll be back quickly too. You grow it pretty fast. Yeah. Oof. Okay. I'm going to try and focus and not just stare at my newfound friend. Quick reminder that today's edition of Baseball Today is presented to you by our friends over at SeatGeek, right? It is the #1 ticketing app out there. So if you haven't downloaded it on your phone yet, do that. And if you use the code word JOHNBOY Postseason, all caps, all one word, you're going to save 10% on your next purchase for the World Series tickets, NFL, college football, NBA, NHL, concert, whatever you want to do. If you're a returning customer or a newbie, it's the code word JOHNBOY Postseason. And speaking of SeatGeek, you got to get in your SeatGeek question of the week today. At Chris Rose Sports is the best way to do it on X, or formerly known as Twitter. Send it in. Best one we'll use on tomorrow's show, and you get $1,000 to use on your next SeatGeek purchase, which is really cool. So go do that today. All right, Plouffe, I'm going to try and stay focused. It's really very strange look for me. I like it a lot. It's just different. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You don't have to apologize. I like it. I dig it. It doesn't change one bit of who you are. That's all I care about.
Thank you.
The Houston Astros are going to have a new look in their dugout come next season because Dusty Baker officially called it quits on Thursday. After 26 years as a major league manager, it is time for him to move on.
I just want to say thank you. You know, retiring from the field here in Houston, I haven't made up my mind yet what I'm going to do or where I'm going to go. First, I'm going to go home, talk to my daughter that thinks that she's my mother, and spend some time with my grandkids and let the Lord tell me where to go and what to do, you know, with my life. And I still feel like I haven't done what I'm supposed to do in life, so I feel the Lord has some great things ahead for me.
Dusty, 7th all-time in wins. He won division titles with 5 different teams, pennants in both leagues, a world championship just a season ago. But Plouffe, was he appreciated enough?
I think so. I think we talked about Dusty quite often. There's not many managers we sit around and kind of dissect in the league. It's true. I mean, maybe from game to game, and maybe that's because Dusty's been in big games where we tend to do that more often than not. I mean, since he's taken over the Astros, he's been very successful, you know, as a manager, and all the things he's done before that. I think you're going to talk about him as a manager more. So I'm going to go more on, I think he might be undervalued as a player. Like, I didn't know Dusty put it down like this.
Yeah, he's a good player.
A couple seasons close to 30 and 100, which is still the benchmark for players. I mean, he never got there officially, but like 3 or 4 seasons, he was only a few homers short or only a few RBIs short. I didn't know he had that. Over a 30 career WAR, 779 OPS, played for 19 years in the show. There has been one other person that maybe said, I'm a Hall of Fame baseball person. Dusty Baker is a Hall of Fame baseball person. Probably not that other guy, because Dusty's been very successful on both sides of the ball as a player and a manager. So I think in that regard, honestly, to me, he doesn't get talked about enough as a player. I did not know all of those things. So yes, we know, at least I know, and the people that are my age know Dusty more as a manager and what he brings in that regard. But go check out his stats if you want to be surprised a little bit, because I was.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. It's always very important to learn about guys. There's still a lot of people who will remember his baseball playing career for strictly one thing, and that's being in the on-deck circle when Hank Aaron hit number 715. And that's not fair because he was an outstanding player. I will talk about him as a manager. And I think when you think of Dusty Baker, just strategically and in games, there's a couple things you're going to think about. Number one is him giving the ball to Russ Ortiz in Game 6 of the 0-2 World Series when the Giants thought that they were going to win that one. Ortiz he gave him the ball. People are like, what are you doing? You're giving him the ball. No, give the ball to the next pitcher because we need to win this thing. Well, they didn't end up winning Game 6. They didn't end up winning Game 7 out in Anaheim either. A year later, 2003, series lead against the Marlins, the Bartman game, the whole bit. He's going to be remembered for that. He's going to be remembered for not getting it done in Cincinnati when he was up 2-0 on the Giants in a 5-game series in 2012. People are going to point to that stuff. Most recently, they're going to say his lineup machinations were no good with Houston. He didn't pick the right guys out of the bullpen. But I will tell you this. Few guys were more respected as a manager by their players than Dusty Baker. I told you this earlier in the week when the Astros lost, that a ton of veteran guys always told me he was their favorite guy to play for, that he took care of them. And that's a big deal. Like, it might not seem a big deal to us. It's a big deal to players. He always knew how to treat them. He treated them like men because he's walked in their shoes. And we'll see him in Cooperstown. The only thing that's sad is that I think it's this December where they have a special vote that managers would go in on the ballot. But I just talked to somebody high-ranking at the Hall of Fame. Neither Francona nor Dusty would be eligible if this had happened at the beginning of the year. If they had bowed out before the season had started, they would have been eligible. But because it's too close to the vote, they're not eligible until 3 years from now, which really stinks.
I think that's fine. Let him go off on a 3-year vacation, come back, get his flowers, and, maybe he'll come on our show.
Dude, I would love to talk to Dusty. Huge fan of his.
Yeah.
So while Dusty is headed off to the sunset, Bob Melvin is heading home. Guy who grew up in the Bay Area, played for the Giants. He will now be managing San Francisco after the San Diego Padres gave their blessing for him to move up the freeway in California. So how often did Bob Melvin actually think about having this job?
I would look in that dugout and look over the other side and say, maybe someday, hopefully. I typically run the stairs the first day of the series. So it gave me time to, look around, look out at McCubby Cove and the bay and all those sorts of things. I used to slide down the slide for luck, but they started locking it because I think we started to have some success, and they didn't want me to slide down it anymore head first.
It was very cute. Enjoyed that a lot. How big a difference?
I don't believe him. I don't believe him.
You don't believe him?
No.
Really?
I mean, maybe.
Come on. Bob Melvin's as trustworthy as they get. Yeah.
Why is there no security camera footage of that? That'd be a hilarious viral video. Bob Melvin sliding down a slide when nobody else is around, like just for fun.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get our crack baseball today crew on that.
Need it.
Please get me video near the Big Glove out in San Francisco. How big of a difference can he make?
Well, I mean, on the field, I don't know, but he's so much different than Kapler. There's no doubt about that. And, as I'm perusing the articles, seeing what people are saying about this hiring, especially people that are in the market, one thing that kept coming up was how easy he is to be around. And yes, that is 100% true. I mean, Bob Melvin makes you feel like a friend right away. You don't really get that with Gabe. Gabe is an intense person. Like, he's going to get deep with you. It's you're not going to have any casual conversations with Gabe. He's going to dig deep. That's just what he is. It's how he is as a person. I think that's what makes him a great manager. This guy puts the work in. He tries to do everything he can. In San Francisco, he would ride his bike around all the time. You could see him traveling around the city of San Francisco. He really tried to be part of the fabric of the city. And he told me that he really, really, really loved living in San Francisco and managing the San Francisco Giants. He said it was awesome. He said he really felt at home. But, you know, you can't replicate what Bob Melvin has in the Bay Area. I mean, like he literally grew up there. He learned about baseball there. He learned about sports. He learned his personality there. Everything goes back to, you know, the Bay Area. So I think it will be, if that's what they're looking for, if that's what the Giants are looking for, a new face of a managerial face of the franchise that really has connections with the city and maybe is a little bit easier to talk to and represent them in a different way, then that's what they're going to get. As far as on the field, I mean, I think both guys go about it in such a different way, but I think they end up getting the same results. Like I really enjoyed playing for I played for both these guys. I really enjoyed playing for both of them. I think they communicated well, just in different ways. Like Bo Mel is more of a warm embrace and Kapler's more of like a sturdy, firm handshake, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But they both prepare for the game very well. And I mean, I don't know, man. Gabe won 107 games there, was manager of the year. Like, I don't know how big of a difference he's going to make on the field. Off the field, I can see it being a little bit different, though.
Well, we did hear some whispers about lack of accountability toward the end of the year coming out of that clubhouse.
Buy that at all, man.
Well, all we can tell you are the reports that, well, there were some on the record sound bites. I mean, right? A guy like Logan Webb went on camera and said stuff, and he's pretty quiet for the most part. Logan Webb doesn't seem like a bitcher and a complainer, and I think that he had some gripes, and maybe Bob Melvin can clean some of that stuff up. I don't know. Here, to me, was the most interesting thing about yesterday is that Bob Melvin got a contract through 2026. So it's a 3-year deal. Farhan Zaidi got an extension through 2026. So what does that mean? Kiddies, if you want to grow up and be in baseball, don't become a major league manager. Go get in that front office, because even if you're below average, you are going to continue to get your shot. Farhan has had 5 years to get this straight. Took over before the 2019 season. They had a 1 winning record, the 107 win aberration. Other than that, the other best, 500. And that's what they've been. People say, well, he flipped their farm system. Yeah, we saw some really, really nice moments last year, but I don't know if Bailey feels like Buster Posey. Harrison, is he going to be the next Matt Cain? Or Tim Lincecum? Or Madison Bumgarner? I don't know. We'll see. But it just, I've said this. I don't know what they are as a franchise. I have no idea where they are. To me, they're the franchise that keeps missing out on big-name players. And so Bob Melvin can only do so much. Like, they could go from 79 and 83 last year to 84 and 78. And as we found out with the Diamondbacks, maybe that's good enough to get you in the playoffs. Maybe that's the difference. One win a month or a half win a month.
I mean, look, I agree with everything you said. The free agent thing is interesting to me because it's not like an easy place to live. So I think, when you're talking about big name free agents who are going to be there for quite some time or really need to settle down and establish roots in the city, San Francisco is not the easiest place to do that. It's not easy to get around. Housing pricing, at least back in the day, I'm sure it still is very expensive and kind of like if you want something for your kids, you got to go outside of the city. It's just not an easy place to live. It's just not. So I think that has something to do with it too. I'm curious to see if they're in the running for Shohei, if they're in the running for any. It's difficult for me to see big time free agents going there right now. Do you agree with that? Just the social landscape of what's happening in San Francisco right now, I think plays a part of it.
I think if people do their homework, I think that is something that they have to sit down. If they got a young family, you're right. I don't think there's a question about it. I used to love to visit San Francisco. I haven't really spent a ton of time up there recently, but everything I read, and not that you believe everything you read, but I also talk to people who have been up there, and they have said that it's
changed a lot.
It's changed. And yeah, that's a good point, right? If you are going to sign on the dotted line for 8 to 10 years, you want to enjoy as much of everything that you can, which is why everybody should move to Cleveland, Ohio as a free agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I say.
Thank you. Very simple. There you go. Shohei,
Shaker Heights.
can't wait till he's playing for the Cleveland Guardians next year.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Hey, I want to tell you a little bit about the gift that can fill the spirits of a relative or a close friend. Mova globes. They make rotating globes. They're constantly in motion and powered by ambient light. Now, this one's not spinning because it's under artificial light right now. But when I open the shades once this show is done, put this bad boy up on the windowsill, it just starts rotating, and I feel like I got this Zen feeling, right? They're powered by hidden magnets. So that means what? No batteries, no messy cords. It's got this cool, clear stand as well. So it gives you a good look. They're available in over 40 designs, which includes sports and world maps and outer space and famous artworks and much more. It's an officially licensed MLB partner, so it's great for any baseball enthusiasts and devoted fans as well. Now, as of right now, there's a half dozen major league teams that are represented. Here I've got the Dodgers. They also have the Cubs, the Giants, the Astros, the Red Sox, the Yankees. They're all available, and all 30 teams are coming your way next season, so that's awesome. But today, I want you to enjoy a special offer, 10% off all officially licensed MLB MOVA globes. That's if you use the code word BT10. That is BT10. So go order your globes now. Link in the description. Enjoy that for yourself or someone special in your life. All right, we continue on with a little more managerial news on this off day before the Game 1 of the World Series. Craig Counsell, he has been given permission to speak with the New York Mets regarding their managerial vacancy. Originally, he had to wait till the end of the month because that's when his contract runs out with the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, for Counsell, Plouffe, is it a better story if he heads to New York or stays in his hometown of Milwaukee?
Man, you're really making me choose something here. I can see both sides of this. I think I'm leaning, though, Chris. I think I'm leaning it's a better story if he stays in Milwaukee. Local dude. I feel like he has unfinished business there. Like, this team has been good, with quotes. Like, I feel like they've had chances. They just haven't taken that next step yet. So I feel like there is unfinished business there. And I think that would be a great story. That being said, the other side of it is very appealing to see him go somewhere else, whether it be reuniting with Stearns with a huge checkbook in New York. I think that'd be cool. But there's a lot of managerial openings right now. And this guy's probably, if I had to rank like managers, like a ranking list of guys that are available, I think he's number one.
Wow, of guys that are available.
Yeah, guys that are available right now.
So
I think he's number one.
Yeah, who are the other guys? Like Joe Madden's available.
Brad Osmus, Gabe Kapler's available. There's a bunch of guys. You can name Will Venable, Bannister. Like, there's a bunch of guys that are
no,
coaches.
by the way. Venable said no.
We'll see. No, right now until he gets some flashed at him. So I think that he's very much sought after especially in this market where I believe like 6 teams need managers right now.
I think it's 5.
Okay, 5. He's going to do his due diligence, and he's going to interview with multiple teams, if not all of the teams. I think that's just a smart thing. He's a smart guy. Part of me wants to see him in a different market that will spend, and I think that will be a cool story, but it just feels right him being home with the Brewers with unfinished business. So I'll say with better storyline is him staying in Milwaukee and maybe eventually hoisting up a World Series trophy.
So he's spent 9 years with his hometown team. His dad used to work for the club. There's that great shot of him hanging out with the 1982 squad, the team that represented the American League in the World Series. Yes, they were in the American League for an awfully long time. In those 9 years, 3 division titles, 5 playoff appearances, an overall postseason record of 7-12. And there's your unfinished business right there.
Yes.
Included a 2-game sweep at the hands of the National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks earlier this year. There was one report out there that Counsell wants to utilize his availability to up the managerial pay pool. Okay. Yeah. And he is the guy that would command a salary because he has been so successful, because he's still very young in the dugout. He's not a guy who's 70, and we know he's going to be there for one trip around a 3 or 4 year contract and call it quits. He's not. He can be your guy for the next decade. For him, the challenge is this: that 7-12 playoff record and a 2-game sweep at the hands of the Diamondbacks. That shit ain't going to fly in New York. Like, have we heard boo about Craig Counsell's inability to get the Brewers to that next level since they made the NLCS 5 years ago? No, you haven't heard it because the people in Milwaukee love him. Hometown kid, grew up, I think, in Whitefish, Wisconsin, came back home, saved the day, got this team to the playoffs in consecutive years for the first time ever in franchise history. So nobody's going to throw darts in his direction. If he loses a 2-game series to a team like the Diamondbacks in New York, what would happen to him?
I don't know. You tell me. Aaron Boone's been a manager of the Yankees for a long time. Has he had a more successful track record than Craig Counsell?
Yeah,
No.
he has. Yes, he has.
I guess.
I mean, he's been to the how many times has he been to the ALCS? Twice?
Do not say ALCS with the Yankees. They don't care about anything but championships.
Well,
that's what they say, people. That's
I know, but
not me talking, that's them.
You asked the question, has he had a more successful run than Aaron Boone? Hasn't
Well,
Boone
I think
been there twice?
I think Aaron Boone has, had a bigger payroll, chances to sign free agents more than Milwaukee does. So I think he's been given a better system and team
Totally.
to manage. So that you have to take that into account. I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're saying. I think he'd be perfect in a New York market.
I would like to see him. I would like to see him go up there. And that I'm just saying those are the things he has to weigh, right? He knows that that's coming because he hasn't faced a ton of criticism in his hometown. He just had. Those are the facts.
And it's New York is like the presidency. Like if you're there for 4 years, you age how many? Like
yes,
12 years. So you really have to think about these things.
Yep.
Like this is your life.
Yeah. I remember he's got 2 kids. I think 2 kids that are in college, maybe a third, and so he's got one other that's in high school, and that always plays a role in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I think he would be great for New York. He would obviously handle the media exceptionally well. He's very even-keeled, and I think he's going to go. I think this is the time, to be honest with you, because I think that Milwaukee's at a pivot right now. I think this is where they pivot. I think this is where they trade some big names in the offseason, guys that have maybe a year left on their contract, and I think that they're going to start saying, we're out. That's my guess.
Okay.
That's my guess. All right, so we actually just mentioned the manager of the New York Yankees. Let's talk about their entire team. Andy Martino of SNY put out a report that the Yankees are doing their due diligence on Juan Soto, who has a year left on his contract with the San Diego Padres before he becomes a free agent. So what do you think? This is going to happen?
It could. I'm not reading too far into it. Preliminary talks could mean anything. Hey, what's up? How are you? You guys got Juan Soto on your team, right? Yeah, we do. He's going into his last year of arbitration. Cool. We're interested. Yeah, we'll talk later. That's a preliminary talk.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it could mean anything. And the Padres, I think, have massive decisions to make this offseason. I think Juan Soto's going to make somewhere like $30 million, they say, projected arbitration. It's his last year before he becomes a free agent. So I believe it's with the San Diego Padres' best interest to try to extend him, see if they can do that. I don't know where they're getting all this money because you're going to have a lot of money to extend Juan Soto, but I think that's where they should start. Let's try to extend this guy. Is he 25 years old right now?
Oh,
it's a joke. One of the best hitters in all of baseball. So if you can keep a guy like that in your organization, you try to keep a guy like that in your organization. Now, if you can't come to a resolution, and sometimes with these guys, it's very difficult too because they want to test free agency. You're 1 year away from being able to talk to every single team. So a lot of times you don't give up the chance to do that. If they feel like they're not getting any progress done, then yeah, maybe it makes some sense, and maybe the Yankees make a play. And we've heard them linked to so many players. Every single big name player that becomes available or somewhat available, the way Soto is, we hear the Yankees mentioned, but they don't always get their guy. I mean, that doesn't always happen that the Yankees want somebody and go get him. They've passed up on Harper. I'm trying to think now. They passed up on Harper. They passed up on Trey Turner. Who else they passed up on? A bunch
Seager.
of those. Corey Seager. Yeah, I mean, they've passed up on a lot of these people. So maybe that makes them, more willing and wanting to go get this done even more because they've seen these guys go other places and have success while they're sitting at home on the couch. It's just preliminary talks to me. I'd love to see it happen. I think it'd be great. I think Juan Soto and pinstripes would be great. I really do. But until we have more information on this, I'm not really giving it any credence.
So they haven't really given Judge a running mate yet, right? Is that fair? I mean, they thought
Just him
that it
and
was gonna
Cole,
be,
yeah. Just
well,
him and
right,
Cole.
Cole from a pitching standpoint. I'm talking
Yeah.
about a lineup. They thought it was going to be Stanton,
Sure.
and Stanton has been productive when he's been in the lineup, but that last part of the sentence has reared its ugly head when he's been in the lineup. So they need to get somebody else out there. Left field has been a huge vacancy. Soto came off a remarkable season, as shitty as it was for the Padres. I know it was slow going for him for like the first 6 weeks. And you said
his end line
age.
was nasty.
His end line was fantastic. Career high in homers, a 930 OPS. Again, led the league in walks. He's a machine out there. He just turned 25 yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, and the Yankees do have plenty of young players. The Padres, we hear they want to trim payroll. They want to go from like
Padres aren't extending him. They can't extend him.
I don't think so
There's no
either.
way.
I don't think so either. So I can't stand the thought, if I'm a Padres fan, of watching him walk out the door for a compensatory pick. I want the guys I've laid eyes on already. Guys that have maybe gotten some time in the major leagues, but certainly have produced at the upper levels of, because the Padres are going to be players. You're not doing this for a high A player that I'll see in 3 years. That's not the sort of trade you're going to make here. Like I suppose the closest thing we've seen in the last handful of years is the Mookie Betts trade, right? Dealt from Boston to LA with 1 year left on his contract. I don't know. How's that worked out?
I'm trying to think about what they would receive for a one. So they gave up a lot of people: Robert Hassel, Yarlin, Susana, James Woods, CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, and Luke Voigt for him and Josh Bell.
Yeah, but that
Are you
was
gonna see
for
that? Are you gonna
multiple
see
years.
Yeah, those. Yeah, so I'm curious because as you mentioned, I believe they're going to want a mixture of both, some prospects and major league ready players. I haven't really thought about Yankees roster, Yankees farm system too much yet, as we're still in the World Series of 2023. So it'd be interesting to see if they got what they believed was a package that was just as good or better than what they gave up to get him.
Well, why in the world should they expect something better than what they gave up? They can't.
He just came off a massive year, and then it's all about Chris. It's all about supply and demand. If someone really wants this guy, and I think if the Yankees believe he is the difference maker, then you can do it.
Okay, I think it'll be very interesting. Part of that Martino column also said that because the Padres believe their window is wide open right now, that a guy like Anthony Rizzo would make sense to send. And it might.
Yeah, they've needed a first baseman.
Yeah, Cronenworth was terrible there last year. I mean, Rizzo was banged up, but got off to a nice start. So we'll see. It's going to be fascinating, in my opinion. All right, last thing before we get out of here. Philly fan, cover your eyes and your ears on this one, because one Philly fan went around interviewing a bunch of Philly fans after they lost Game 7 of the NLCS in their own crib.
We had home field for 2 games, and you let them come here and beat us?
I'm fucking depressed. I had to ask 9 people for this fucking cigarette.
Philly fans, we always stink.
Disappointment.
All them bitch-ass motherfuckers I couldn't get a hit when we motherfucking needed.
I love how we spent $700 million for guys to go 0 for 12 combined.
Overpaid
Fuck that.
Hey, wait, where'd you get this banana?
From a homeless guy.
I don't want to hear that song ever again.
Now, that's some funny shit. So, Buster Delphia, tip of the cap to you, man. That is some funny shit right there. That's ballsy, too, to almost, because you want to be a content king, you're almost rooting for the team to lose at home. Oh, man. That's funny, though.
It is good to hear. I mean, especially Philadelphia is like the perfect city to go do that because they're so passionate either way. Like if they had won, imagine the inebriated slurs that we would hear coming out of their mouths. That one chick, 9 people to find a cigarette. I feel like that's not that in today's day and age. I feel like that's pretty good odds. Like, right?
For
you shouldn't be ripping heaters anymore, lady. Okay.
Let's not put anything. That was toxic.
Funny,
it was funny. Very, very funny. Good job. Well done. All right. You're probably wondering, well, hold on. The World Series is like 24 hours away. Where's your coverage? We got a full show coming your way tomorrow about this. Your full show.
I'm going to have a beard by then.
No, you won't. So you have to keep it clean shaven. You going to shave every day?
I might keep it clean shaven. It feels really nice. Feel like I got some air blowing on my face for the first time in a while.
So through next Tuesday, right?
I'll keep it
Wednesday
for a while,
morning. A while. Not for
This depends. If Olivia's like super into me today and she's like trying to feel up on me, then this might be a thing for a while. That's all I care about.
That's it.
That's it.
Whether or not you can get some.
No, just that my wife likes it. Okay, easy.
Oh, all of a sudden you're backing off the sex accelerator. Really? That's not you. That's
Settle
not
down.
You. Just wait till you're my age when you're looking at the calendar. You're like, yeah, I've got December 3rd open. How about you? Sorry.
Hope that never happens.
I know. You think it doesn't. Just telling you, you think it won't happen to me. Bookmark this right now. In 15, you're 37, right?
Yes.
15 years, you give me a call when we're still doing this show and my teeth have fallen out. My beard is looking like ZZ Tops. Yeah.
We'll have this discussion. I'm in.
Okay. All right. Always a lot of fun. Don't forget to get your SeatGeek question of the week in by today. Do it soon. Do it the minute this show wraps, okay? Don't worry. There's a clean-shaven Longo. We'll talk about him, I'm sure, on Friday's show. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented and clean-shaven Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Friday on Baseball Today.